Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a great day, a great week, and a great trading day and week as well. This is the daily trading update video for the February 2nd session. If you missed that live stream, I will link that up in the iCards. As you guys can see, I had a red day today as well, but it actually shouldn't have been. I was having data lag issues today, which I will show you guys. You see this? This was my data lag at 8:32 this morning, a minute and a half. Yes. Now here is the biggest issue. The biggest issue is I was not even paying attention to the data lag issue until I got into that first trade and it lost, because what happened was I got into a buy at the close of the reversal bar like I always do, and I noticed that my entry was like way below where it was supposed to be, and I'm like, what the hell? So then it lost, and then I looked down at the data lag timer and I was like, yo, there's no way. There is no way I took that trade. So typically I have the market analyzer. What you guys see on the screen on the live stream, that is sitting like on my laptop screen, not the monitor that I trade on. So typically I have that same market analyzer open on my monitor, and I usually have it in the top or the upper left corner. It's been in my bottom right corner for a while now, and it's probably because I look at volume towards the bottom of my screen. And for that particular setup, I didn't need to pay attention to the volume at the time. So I never looked down on the right side of the screen. I ended up losing that trade, and that trade pretty much is what cost me the rest of the trailing drawdown that I had in this account. This account only had about $140 left in drawdown, and there you go, 124 of it was gone there. Had I looked at that data lag timer, I would have never gotten into that trade at all, and I actually would have saved this account. And I'm going to show you guys when we get into the charts. So I did take two trades. One of them actually took profit, but because I only had like $29 left in drawdown at the time that I took it, that second trade, it went against me just a tad, like just a couple of ticks, basically the 5 ticks that it needed to stop me out. And then it went straight to my take profit. So if it wasn't for that first trade, I would have been good today. I did trade on I'm switching over to my charts for you guys. I did trade on the sim account today. I was negative on the sim account, but that's just because I got into a couple of trades that I wasn't supposed to be in. At that point, it was just like, all right, I'm not even streaming yet, so I'm just going to take these couple of trades or whatever, kind of see what the data lag is doing at the time, and just kind of deal with that. But I did take a few trades on the stream, and you'll see that if you go watch it. But let's get into the chart. So this was the first trade that I missed because of the data lag. So the actual trade that I got into, let me switch. So the trade that I got into was a buy here, and I actually would have been able to break even on this trade had it actually been the entry. But remember, I said it was a minute and a half lag. So when I got into the trade up here, it actually put me into the trade way down here, okay? Because that's about a minute and a half. So once that happened, I saw the data lag. I went ahead and I closed my NinjaTrader charts. I went ahead and resynced to Rhythmic again, which I typically don't have to do that because I have the auto sync on, so it automatically syncs every 2 minutes anyway. But what I decided to do after this happened today was, before I even open my NinjaTrader up in the morning, I'm just going to go ahead and sync my clock to Rhythmic again, which I shouldn't have to do because actually, when the minute and a half data lag showed on NinjaTrader, my Rhythmic actually showed that I was only like 0.3 seconds, which of course is way too high for my personal preference. However, it's not a minute and a half, and I would have never had to deal with this in particular. So that's what I'm going to start doing in the morning. So because I had to close NinjaTrader, sync the clock, reopen NinjaTrader, wait for it to load and things like that, I ended up missing this trade right here. So this was the first trade that I missed because of it. Then this is the second trade that I missed, but this one actually would have taken profit, or it would have hit my auto break even level before the entry. So I would have never been able to actually get into that one in particular. This is the next trade that I missed because of me fixing the data lag. And then this is the first trade that I was actually able to get into once I fixed the data lag and everything. This was the second trade that I took on this account. And as you can see, I had the drawdown that ended up stopping me out. So it was more than 4 ticks. It was about 10 ticks. But you guys can see if I do this, that I actually would have won this trade. So that kind of sucks because a lot of the trades today were actual wins. We had a lot of volatility, a lot of volume today. So just kind of is what it is. So after I was stopped out, or I was auto liquidated here, of course, I had to take time to switch to the sim accounts, put my chart trader on that and all of those things. So in the midst of that, because this happened like literally not even a minute later, I missed out on this win right here. All right, so switching back to the sim account, now you guys will be able to see some of the trades that I did take on sim. And again, some of them I just took just because, and then other ones were actually valid trades and things like that. So here was the first trade that I ended up taking, and you guys can see that was a win. So the next trade, this one actually was invalid because I was still having a lot of lag. I was not able to see the volume as it was happening. And so this is not a trade that I actually would have taken. There was like just a tad bit too much volume to support me getting into this trade. And so I ended up losing that one. So this is the next trade that I did actually take, and this one broke even. Then we have this trade here. This was actually an invalid trade as well. Again, same thing with the volume. I was just testing the lag to see, and like the lag was to the point where the volume was lagging a little bit behind it. And so, yeah, that was that. So it started to kind of like stabilize right after I started streaming, but before I started streaming, it just would not stabilize. So this is the next trade that I took. This one was just a test for not really the lag, but one of the things that I did notice is that and I've talked about this I think earlier this week, but I wanted to kind of test like which levels matter and which ones don't. So I had a resistance level here, and then you guys can see the overnight low there, which is technically a support level. So I was talking earlier this week about how I noticed that when certain support and resistance levels, if they're near each other and it trades at those levels, I cannot take the trades. So this was a resistance level where you see the yellow line, and then you have the support level of the overnight low. Those two together cannot be traded together. And yeah, my theory was right. At this point, it was like, all right, I'm just sim trading anyway. So some of these trades, I just want to test my theory and we'll kind of see what happens, kind of thing. So after that particular trade, I did not have another like valid setup for 30 minutes. So this was the next trade, and I actually took this one on the stream, and you can see that that one won. And then from there, we just had a lot of trades that I just sat out of. I started helping out in the Discord, so I wasn't really fully focused. But some of these trades I did call out like, oh, I just missed that one. Let me draw the, risk to reward so you guys can see what would end up happening kind of thing. So this was a trade that would have broken even. Just a divergence trade. I was in an overall uptrend bias. And the crazy thing is today the volatility was so great that my bias changed like 9 times today, which is a lot. Like recently it's only been changing like maybe 1 or 2 times, and I'm like, man, it's not moving enough. But 9 times today the volatility was great, and I think the total volume by the time I got off the charts at 11 o'clock this morning was like 460,000. I don't remember the last time I saw numbers that high at all. All right, so this is the next trade that I took, and this one broke even. Then we come across, and this is the next trade that I sat out of. And I sat out of this one in particular. I believe it was just because we were at the prior close. So I told you guys that at one point I used to be able to buy at the prior close, even though I see that as a resistance level. I used to be able to buy at the prior high and vice versa. I used to be able to sell at the previous open, the current open, and the prior low, but lately I have not been able to. But I believe that with some of the adjustments that I made recently, I should be able to now. So this was one of those trades where it's like, all right, we're at the prior close. Let's just see what happens. And I would have actually won this one. Actually, no, let me back up. I actually put in a pending order for this one. And if you go back and look at the stream, it just ended up like there was no drawdown whatsoever. Like my entry was the lowest that it came down and it just took off. I'm not really sure exactly why I wasn't filled on this one though, because I really should have been filled, but I'm just going to blame it on the slight lag that it had. But yeah, it just went straight to the take profit. So coming back, this was the trade, one of many that I sat out of because, hey, we're buying going off of the previous high, and that's also my major resistance level. Let's just sit back and see what happens. We're sim trading anyway, and you can see that that one won. So like I said, I think that from now on, I should be able to do it. All right, so this was the next trade that I sat out of because I wasn't quite sure how this one would work out. There was just a couple of things that just looked a little weird to me as far as the volume patterns, and you could see that I actually would have lost that particular trade. So that's a pattern that I'll just consistently like pay attention to see if I want to trade it or not, because sometimes it just loses and that's okay. But if it's a consistent losing pattern, we stay out of those. This was the next trade that I called out on my stream. And the only reason why I didn't get into it was just because we were going back towards this major resistance level here. So that is part of the Ninja super pivot indicator. So if I kind of smash this a little bit, you'll see that I have blue square dots and then red square dots. That's basically just the first resistance and the first support level on the pivot indicator, and then the yellow dots is like the middle pivot level. So this is technically like a zone that it creates. And so again, because I just changed the Renko settings last week, there are certain things that I can do that I couldn't do before. And one of the things that I could not do before on my previous Renko settings was trade going back towards the zone. But as you guys can see, it did come into the zone a little bit. It came one tick from stopping me out and then came back down, and the trade actually would have won. All right, so next trade here. Again, I only didn't get into this one just because it was buying at the previous high. Still wasn't quite sure if I would be able to again anymore. And it looks like I can. So, and it consistently this week, I would have been able to kind of trade opposite of what I would normally be okay with. And then this is the last trade that I took on stream. This is a setup that I'm still not quite sure that I want to continue doing, only because it does not set up a whole lot, but it does typically win. So I'm okay with this one little loss here. Now, let me tell you guys, out of all of the trades that I just showed you, and this is what makes me the most frustrated when it comes to Rithmic, I just really I despise Rithmic. Oh my gosh, you guys just don't understand. So had I not had that issue earlier, and had I just taken all of the valid setups today, minus the ones that I was just testing the lag on and stuff like that, just because at that point I was on sim, today would have been a great day. I would have had 9 wins, 2 losses, and 4 break evens, and then the one trade that took profit before I could even get into it. It didn't hit my limit order. So that would have been an $800 day. I would have been able to pull myself out of the small bit of drawdown that I had left. I would have been at almost $1,000 in drawdown, and that's what's most frustrating when it comes to tech issues and data lags with Rithmic, and why I get so frustrated. But you know what? It is what it is. Like I told you guys before, sometimes I just feel like instead of just pulling myself out of it. Now with this one, I would have wanted to, because I just started this account on Monday. So it would have been nice to have it for the next 2 weeks, because I give myself basically 3 weeks to pass or fail it. And then, that's kind of it. So it would have been nice to still have it. But just the fact that, today the volatility returned, and it shows that, hey, like where you are, you should be good. Hopefully next week is more like today and not Monday through Thursday. But yeah, so I have a 25K account coming back Monday, and then my 250K accounts will be coming back the following Monday. So I'll be going into next week with just one account to trade, and I'm okay with that. So I'll show you guys just so that you can see. On this is showing that I still have $40 left in drawdown. I actually don't. That's only because the trade didn't actually close out right when I hit the trail and drawdown. It kind of waited a little bit, and by then I still was a little bit in profit, and so that is why it's showing that way. So yeah, that's the update for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I'll see you guys bright and early Monday morning for the live trading session. Have a good weekend.